Hello and good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for logging on a Friday. Hope everybody's got a nice sunny day today. Today's short webinar, I'm trying to group them into certain parts of the bed for patient handling, especially with the in-bed systems, is going to be focused a lot on is all in turning on the bed. And obviously we're going to use John as a positive active patient to start with, to turn himself a few times in two different ways. And then John will start becoming a passive patient, and then he'll also become what I would call a negative active patient. I'll describe that as I go along. We have a new camera system today that we've tried a wee bit beforehand, which will actually give you a better vision of where my hands are. And then Ruben, maybe we'll just go quickly to show you what we're talking about, where we actually have an overhead camera on the bed, where you can actually see where my hands are going and how close they are to the client. So that's today's concept. The products that we're using today, because we got, after the last webinar on Monday, people wanted more details on the products. Obviously, this is the Regia bed, which we like using because A, one of the best beds we do. B, it's got a low footboard that's below the mattress, which means you get a good vision of what's going on. We're also using the Listler Superfine system, which is a standard base sheet, and then a four-way top sheet with handles. And then we've got various bits and pieces like the Flexi Post gantry that we use and our own positioning wedge. But we'll describe that as I go along. So I want to start off today just with a very simple thing where I'm going to invite John in to come round and get into the bed. And basically what this is for, the in-bed systems, if John lies down, the base sheet is actually designed for patient handling on its own. But this is set more for a patient that is independent, maybe getting in and out of bed themselves and want to wiggle about a bit of the bed. So I don't actually have to bring the bed up to my working height. What I'm going to do is, because the camera is fixed to the far side rail, is I'm going to bring John up the side rail. John's going to do this nice and slowly so you can see. So basically, John's going to turn himself on the spot onto his right-hand side. Now, what we'd encourage the person to do then is lift the left leg up, place it on the bed, lean it towards this way. John can look towards me, go to the handset, and because he's actually on the silk, you can see the turn being done on the spot. And because the silk is obviously in the satin, it's reduced the friction in the shear. Obviously, we're looking for the client to have pajamas on or a nightie because skin doesn't slide naturally. So therefore, you'd be looking for a nice set of pajamas. And the reason why I showed this one is the example that I've always given this, which is a nice proud one. We had a young lady who was a spinal injury who had to be nursed in a nursing home because they couldn't afford the patient routine or the care routine to come in every 2 or 3 hours to turn her in her own house. And we tried the physio and the OT tried the base sheet on its own because the young lady wore silk pajamas. And then she was obviously able to grasp, even with her poor, and I'll bring my hand in so you can see the poor grip that she had. But she was able to turn herself on the bed. So that's the first way. And this is where you could start doing an assessment to see what a patient can do themselves. And if they can do this at certain times where they set the alarm, even better. So I asked John to go onto his back again, bless him. And then he's going to pop out of bed for me in a second. And we're just going to make it even easier for him. So if John pops out, please. And we'll put in the top sheet. There you go, John. Please and thank you. So the idea behind this is we'll be using the top sheet itself. And the reason being is, again, this is where John is by himself. So he got onto the bed. We went through in and out of the bed during the week, okay? Basically, that's made up. And I showed you the 45-degree angle the last time. Or you can watch the video online. And as you'll see all the wrinkles, so we'll make sure that we keep them all out. So John comes round and gets himself onto the bed. I'm going to lock it out with my knees so John can just pop on. He's fit and able, okay? So again, the patient would have got into the bed. We'd have no wrinkles on it. But because the sheet's not tucked in, what you can actually do is lift the side rail up, or the assist rail in this case as well. And because John now has got that sheet underneath, if he does the same thing again, no, you're going to turn, John. Yeah. Thank you. So lift your left leg up, reach across, But without having to lift your hips, John should be able to slide even easier to turn on his side. And again, hang on, John, lift your head and look after you. There you are. You can see how easy that was for John to do. Now, what we were trained to do in Sweden, this is following the natural pattern of movement to turn. So this is just removing the friction and the shear for the patient so they can do this easier. So John can go onto his back now, if you don't mind, John, and gets to lie down for a while, because now where John's condition is, pardon the expression, starting to deteriorate, and he's needing a bit more assistance to do this, okay? Now, what I like about this bed is it comes up to full working height of 80, even goes down to 25. I'm 6'2", and as you can see, it comes up to a good height for me to keep my posture correct. But in this case, John's deteriorated and just needs a bit more assistance. But in this one, I'm actually going to turn him onto his left-hand side so you can see what I'm doing. What I actually need to do in this case is set the bed down so I can get a 45-degree angle on the actual in-bed system on the top, okay? Because John's been assessed that he can give a bit of help. It's minimal, but he can, okay? So I'm going to turn John on the spot here. So John lifts his head for me slightly. I'm going to turn this around. And you can see from the camera angle, all the sheet, the wrinkles are on the outside. Where John's lying, it's not. But in this case, John's going to turn onto his left-hand side. So he's going to raise that leg for me. We know he can do that. He's going to look towards the person on that side. In this case, I'll not get him just to hold the side rail because it'll move the camera a bit. Now, this is why we use this camera. Because instead of me going in tight, I'm going to come to John's hips, which now you can see my angles, and you'll see me pulling at this direction. So once I start the hip turning, I can come round to the shoulder, come round to the hip, hips fully across, and bring the shoulder through. Okay? So you get the idea. And now, I put my hand here and bring the shoulder on through. And then John lifts his wee head, I'll get his cushion in the proper position. And now you can see that patient could be left on the side if we needed to. I can bring the wedge in, and John can relax back against the wedge. So while I've got time and space to do personal care. All right. So you get the idea in that. Hopefully you'll see that better in the video, because afterwards you'll all get the video in this and you can actually watch that movement. So that was just basically turning John on the spot. Now, this is where I'm just going to ask John, I'm going to take this out, and John can actually roll back onto his back. Okay, he's close to this side. Now I'm going to bring the bed up a wee bit, because I'm going to slide John more into the center of the bed. Very relaxed looking, John. Now, obviously, I want them center line of the bed. John's actually going to go through this with me in a while to show you how you turn me, because this aerial view is priceless for us. So I bring John's into the center line of the bed. And again, I'm only going to bring John's hand up here so you can see what my hands are doing. If I get one hand even underneath John's hips and shoulders, get myself into the movement and just gently lean into the bed, John becomes center line of the bed. Okay? That gives you that idea. So, now, that was John deteriorating down the next stage, bless him, where he can't even help. So this gives you a better function of what this is going to do, okay? So now I need to slide John towards me first and bring him back to where we started. I'm just going to bring the pillow slightly closer to me. So I'm going to turn John away from me, so I will be leaning over against the camera. So I do that. Actually, what I'll show you a couple of wee things in this one. So basically then I can do the shoulders, do the hips, do the shoulders, and then do the hips. And I'm going to show something that I would use for dementia patients, okay? But I'll show you that in a wee second. But what I can now do is, obviously, place this on top. I'm going to lift this side rail up. And I'm going to use the hoist to do this, because we'll pretend that there's a wall there and I can't get round to that side. Just so you know, I can't see that screen, so I don't see anything on it. All right, doesn't matter. Just in case there's something wrong, starting panicking. So I'm going to bring across my my flexi post. Bring this down. This flexi post is on casters. Trust me, it's the best thing to ever do on a gantry, because you can get the gantry into the center line of the hoist. I'll twist on to it. Thank you, John. John's my assessor. You see, he keeps me right. There we go. Untwist the wire, because with these cameras, you can see everything. So basically, I just hook on the loops. Okay, John's keeping an eye on me. Again, I would ask John or the client to look over towards that way if it possibly can. This time, John can't lift his legs. He hasn't the power to do it. So I press that just to show that a man should be able to multitask now and again. I'll stop there because I need to go to the far side of the bed now, because as you can see, I've lost my field of vision with John. So I'm going to lower him slightly. John's going to be a good boy and hold that handset, so when I come around, I can see it. Just come around this way, Ruben. Excuse me. So at this point, as you can see, now the hoist is done. It'll do that. And poor John has no choice now. He starts to turn. Hoist takes into a slower rotation. And as you can see now, John is actually on his side, and he's doing a good person, and he's actually burying his face into the pillow for me, which if he turns around and just do it normally, thank you, John. So you get the idea now that you could put the wedge in. So this is somewhere that if it's a single-handed care, like a family member, it gives you a chance to do that. So I'm just going to go around the far side. But I want you to see that because I like to have the field of vision. Normally I'd have turned John towards me in there. So that's using the hoist. Sorry, John. What I want to do next is poor John has dementia. Now this is in a situation where with a dementia patient, you would like it to be an island bed where that you've got access to either side of the bed, because usually it could be two people, but it's nice if even if one, that you've got access to both sides. Now, what I'm going to do is bring John into the center line of the bed again. Okay, but as I said, in this scenario, John basically would be a dementia type patient. So I do not want at any point to be doing that, where I'm leaning over the patient to annoy them or disturb what they're doing. Okay, so slight difference in this is I'm going to slide John towards me so you can see this. And again, it's the same process that I used earlier on. I can do shoulders and hips separately, or I can slide across. And as you can see, right, and as you can see, John's now slid to the far side of the bed. And if I bring John's arms across, okay, the person on this side would hand me that sheet, and I'll just slide the pillow on so John's nice and center lined. There you are, John. That person would have handed that to me. Now you can see you have a position to go into that position and lean back and bring John towards you, where you can protect yourself and of any sort of strikes and protect the patient. But that's a good way. I always call that the tug of war movement. But again, it's giving you another option to use if you're fit, able, and you've got another team member, or I would have had to walk around and bring it across, okay? But you get the idea. At that point, again, John never lifted his leg. He was a negative active patient. And it gives you an opportunity of using different ways to turn. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways of turning a client. I will show you this one, and this is the no-no. Okay, because this is one of the hassles that John and I will always have, and Adam in England, because Adam's answering your questions online, and the rest of the team. When you put an in-bed system in, the biggest fault that I would usually come across is carers, and John knows, I'll use a Northern Ireland expression, I'm going to wake him around here, as the carers just walk over and go, oh, this is great, look at that, I can just do everything. And the poor patient has just been turned hadn't a clue what was going on. They've been weeked over, as our term would be, and the carer thinks it's great, but the poor patient is in complete shock, and especially if it's a dementia patient, they may not like that. If there's a pain threshold, you can do what I call micro moves. Right, John? I did tell you I was doing it. So you get the idea. Now, so far, as you can see, I'm going to take the wrinkles out. Pardon the expression, John, not a you. Do a nice fresh face. Always a comedian when you do these things. And you can see now the wrinkles, I'm just bringing them out at the four corners. This is one of them season my good, we were very picky and choosy about our superfine material, and that's why it's named like that. So you get the idea in that. So micro moves. If I bring John's legs up, if he can, this one, John, sorry. And John can reach towards and just grab the side rail. Hopefully he doesn't move it too much. The micro moves are again the 45-degree angle. So I can just do hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders. And you can see my hand going more and closer to John, to the center of gravity of the load. And all I'm doing is walking John onto his side. Once you get the hip rotated, then you'll just place your hand gently, maybe even like that, and get the shoulder and bring on through. But you get the idea. You might be using a positional pillows here or whatever to get the patient into that comfortable position. It's not my size and weight doing this. It's something I always have to sort of reiterate. We have used this technique now for over 10 years. Hang on, Jim, I'll bring you back. And we have dealt with this with clients with bone cancer, and you want to be very gentle. And the proudest one I ever did was I was able to turn a lady in a hospice, and we didn't wake her up doing it. I was quite proud of that. So far, I think we lost a bit of sound. So if, I don't know whether Adam wants the message, anything. So anything you want to see again towards the end, we'll do. So we'll, as the man says, we'll take requests. So I'm proud of John. It's just something I want to show. You can't see his socks. John, after all that, waste of time. You can't see his stripy socks. But I'll do that towards the end. So I'm just going to drop John down onto the floor, pardon the expression, or bring him down so he can get off the bed. And we're swapping roles. So we're going to go into a plus size client. Now, obviously, I'll show you what I mean in a second when I talk about what I would mention would be double team. Double teaming would be where you're trying to sort of equal the weight of the client in certain parts of the torso. John gets to get up, and if you can see, look at that, fit as a fiddle, but you can see where he got up, the sheet was still flat. There was no wrinkles. I'm going to place that there for you, John. And again, that was the 45-degree angle going back into it. Top on top. John can make the bed up for me, please, and thank you, John. Hopefully you're enjoying that camera angle because it's the best explanation I can do. I did struggle showing this on webinars where you couldn't actually see what I was talking about. So, risk assessment of me. I don't need to be a positive active patient. You've seen that. This would assist me to do my turn naturally in the way the two versions of doing. What I'm going to be with John is what I would regard as a negative active patient. So John's going to slide me towards this side of the bed. I'll help him do the buttons so you can see it. And basically, he'll be turning me onto my left-hand side for personal care, or it might be just trying to get the sling on, or other bits and pieces like that. But again, this is the sort of webinars that listener can do with your own team, with your own a private one, because the studio now is starting to take a shape. And as you can see, we're trying to get different camera angles. The next time apparently we'll have 3, which is going to daunting for me. Now I know that this bed is a 90 bed. There you go, all natural pattern to get me in the position. So John knows what he's trying to achieve, so he's going to lift the bed up to a full working height for himself. This is a camera angle I never thought I'd ever see myself on. Or John. You get the idea. So John's now going to sort of equally it. Now, John's, what weight are you, John? I think they asked. I've told you. 13. Are you? I'll have you down later. So what I need John to work in is just with torsos, okay? So he's going to slide me, take it right up, John, full height. Please and thank you. Again, with me being a plus-size client, it makes obvious to use the hoist. So what he's going to do then, he would have slid my feet off to the right-hand side first, and I am going to let him do that. Thank you, John. Then he would come over to my hips. Now, what I'm talking about double teaming, if you had two carers, both carers would be nearly touching hip to hip. So both carers are actually going to slide just my hip. So they would be literally like conjoined. They'd be close to each other, both hands literally at my hip. So you've got two pairs of clients trying to just slide my hip bone rather than trying to slide my whole torso. So John brings my tip towards the edge of the bed. There you go. Then steps up to my shoulders. Both carers would do the same. So if you're in the home care unit, you need access to this side of the bed. So John then slides me over. Now he's slightly out of this shape, so he steps back to my hips and just straightens me up a bit. Thank you, John. And as you can see there, John did that. He is a fit. He has no arthritis. He has firm grips. There's other wee hints that we can show you. The squash ball, which I haven't got in my pocket at the minute, is just for somebody who might have arthritic hands. We can show you that individually if you wish. Now John's going to bring the hoist across and connect again shoulders and hips. Now again, now you're dealing with what would be, I feel, is a normal plus size patient. I have done this right up to 44 stone. Above that we haven't had yet, where the husband was able to personal care with the wife. She was quite adamant that she wanted nobody else but her husband to look after her. And basically we had to do that scenario where the husband could do this himself. Lucky enough, again, I'm used a lot for training with this, where, for instance, I was in Glasgow and the same process is going to happen to a patient in Glasgow. I offered my services, obviously, once our products are in, that I would be the one that the staff train on, not the patient. When the patient arrives in, I want them to be 100% confident and they know exactly what they're doing. John's going to lower the bed because obviously lift height. Okay. No hassle with this, but some houses would have a low ceiling height. And then if I press up with the Luna, you'll see now there's it all locking in. And again, I start to turn. You'll see me trying to fight against it, and I can't. It literally is turning me. And at that point, I'm now turned. John can put the wedge in. Lift it up a wee bit, John, to cover my nether regions so that you can do a nice wash and clean. You have to. So when you lower the hoist down, you can actually see, I mean, I don't want to push too far, but you get the idea. This side wheel would take my weight to push against it, but it'll wobble the camera. I can't push that thing back because it's made of a non-slip material. But John and I could have been putting the sling on maybe, or without the thing. You can leave me in that position and basically do personal care. So I'll take that back again, John, if you don't mind. So John can just take it out. I'm going to be a bit more. But with this camera, that's given us such a difference to show what you can actually do. So John, if you just connect that, and I'll show you what I mean about a positive active patient being able to turn themselves in bed for pressure care. So if the both side wheels were up, which I'll get John to do in a second. Bless you, John. You can see, there you are, John, thank you. I can actually start just doing micro movements myself. And I've turned onto my own back, okay? So a plus size patient can do a couple of wee things, and because I've got this camera angle, I can show you what I mean. They can actually use the bed head to push themselves down the bed, or if they lift the leg rest up, pull themselves up. These side rails are weight tested. This is actually the assist rail. This is a long story about this, and I can use this. So if I start going into this material, as you can see, this micro moves, and I've turned. Again, the therapists, the OTs and the physios are always trying to be more proactive with the patient to see what they can do for themselves. And just having the top sheet in, there's a lot of questions about friction and shear. I have pressure mapped this, I have done everything, and it actually makes the mattresses and the beds better because the friction and shear is taken care of between the two sheets. It minimizes as much as you can. So you get the idea and the concept of that. That's a lot to take in, and it's one of the reasons why we recorded this, so that you could actually see this yourselves. You'll see, I mean, there's a lot more that we like to do. We're going to probably do more during the after the summer break, because there's a couple of things I'd like to show you about rehabbing somebody out of bed with these, but that's can take longer to do, and I need an H system hoist to be able to show you that. So I am going to just get out of bed. John will lower it down for me. Thank you, John. Ruben, if you break to that camera, because I'm sure they don't want to see me, my big red face, trying to get out of bed. There we go. Get it right down, John. That's it. We'll shimmy forward and up. So you lose sort of track of time when you're talking like this. So we'll tidy up the bed. So again, I thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And again, our team will send you this out in a short video to see what you think. And again, if there's anything that you'd like to see yourselves, just email into the chat box. We have your email address and we can address it, and the local area manager can maybe go live with you and we can address it individually. And Ruben's our tech guy. We have a YouTube channel and we have quite a few videos building and we're quite proud of them all. And hopefully we're getting better at it, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video. But thank you more for tuning in.